Hey everyone, Nicholas here with Spec C6, and this is my second time drifting ever, and my first time doing it in the dry. We were out at Driven Lux Circuit for a Veterans Day event. I spent 8 years in the United States Navy, so being out there during the parade lap, different branch flags flying, Star-Spangled Banner playing across the track, that kind of carried some weight. It was one of those moments where you pause and really take it in. The pride, the purpose, and just the gratitude of it. And then about 30 minutes later, I'm staring at 240 degrees on the dash. So yeah, David and I, my father-in-law, are pulling the hood off. We were hoping the extra airflow would make it to where I could get an extra few laps in before having to come in for the car to cool off. Along with David out here helping me was my brother-in-law, Sean, and my amazing wife, Nicole. When you start doing stuff like this, nobody really tells you what goes into it. The early mornings, the drive out, loading the car, unloading it, getting everything ready just to get a few laps in. I wouldn't have made it here without them, so I wanted to say thank you. So as you can see, we're starting to get into some of these laps. Yeah, they were rough to begin with. I was not used to the speed that you needed to have in dry conditions. Here I'm pulling off because I had seen a cover or cap flapping. Ended up being the windshield wiper fluid, so we just yanked that off. Also, this is a hot lap circuit, so you pull off when you're overheating or you want to take a break, but you keep going if you want to keep hitting laps. And like pacing is kind of crazy, and just continuous, like fast pace. You'll see here in turn one, I'm kind of struggling to kick it out. That's just kind of like my fear of commitment and not really like worrying about getting into the gas and not just going all out. Unlike the opposite side of that though, honestly, I wasn't too worried about making mistakes. I knew I was going to be out there. I knew I was going to be spinning out. I knew I was going to be running off track. Not turning here, not giving it enough gas there, but it's all part of the learning experience, and I kind of went into it with that headspace of just wanting to learn more. So Driven Lux Circuit is kind of one of those like low-key spots. So there wasn't like, crazy crowds. So like we had our pit area, and then we also had this area here where we could basically park up and let the car cool off. And this is where we kind of had our chairs set up, and we'd watch other people make lines, and I'd, see like what others are doing versus what I'm doing. So as you can see here, this is like my only shot that I got, not from the car itself. It is definitely something that I'm aware of, and will definitely have a lot more camera angles on future videos. So I promise it will definitely get better. So here's a pretty kind of good example of where I'm, starting to push myself more, push the car a little bit more. I'm starting to, try and utilize more of the track and widen and get closer to the edge of that track. And the vice versa is when you're learning, you're going to make mistakes and run off like I did here. So we'd run 6, maybe 7 laps, and then we'd see temps starting to creep up, and that'd be time to pull off and chill out, grab some water, watch people, and learn.
Hot, I would send you. Hang on. Oh, that's fine. I'm new. Oh, you okay?
Here, I just want to throw a big shout out to all of Driven Luck Circuit staff. It's family owned, family operated, and they're awesome and really inviting and willing to, show you the ropes and give you pointers and help you out where you need it. Just a little something about me. I waited 29 years to try something like this, and I told myself just that I needed more money, or more free time, or like more skill at this or that. But honestly, the truth is, I just needed to show up and actually try, and that's usually the hardest part. And so, if you're watching this, you're not too old. You're not too busy, and you're not too inexperienced to dive in like I did. Nobody's out here expecting perfection, but they respect effort. So at this point of the day, I was still figuring the car out, throttle control and how fast the rear wants to come around, how much input's too much. I mean, it's a Corvette. It isn't a 240, and it's heavier in the front. Torque comes on quick, and when it steps out, she's kicking out. You know, one thing I didn't really expect about drifting when I was getting into it is how open it is. Sean, David, and I were walking around, just, checking cars out, asking drivers questions, and one guy pulls out a garden sprayer and starts showing us that he sprays down his tires in between runs to cool them off, and he was saying that it sits there and he's able to get a few extra laps out of each time. And that right there is the stuff that you don't learn online. You learn it in the pits. No ego, no holding secrets, so that way you can get ahead. Just drivers helping drivers out so everyone can get better. Every time I come out here, I realize how much I don't know, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger at this point. But that is the point. We're learning lap by lap as we go. I want y'all to know this channel is going to get better. Filming is going to get way better. Driving is going to get way better. The car is going from a daily driven C6 to a full track drift build. So if you're watching this, you're watching it from the very beginning of that evolution. I can only get more seat time, more upgrades, and more knowledge from here on out. So if you want to see that growth, stick around, subscribe, because this is just the foundation. This is Nicholas with Slide Spec C6. Build, brake, push, and I'll see you next time.